The Cellcast is recorded in front of a live streaming audience.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Cellcast. Joining me today is a man who, well, he just has to touch all the big things. Welcome, Jacob.
Oh my gosh. Well, they're just so shiny.
That is true.
Why, thank you. Let me introduce our co-host, a man who, if I have to run into a prototype door one more time to pull your butt out of a fire, I hope it's the last. Welcome, Drew.
Yes, but I caused the greatest scream in centuries.
That is true.
Next time I'll have to wear clothes. Anyway.
Yeah, thank you. Because oh my gosh,
I'm blind.
I'm blind. Ah, help!
So yeah, today we are reviewing Monsters University, the prequel to Monsters Incorporated. But yes, it is a Pixar film. Why don't we just go ahead and get into it? Except the thing is still playing.
Yeah,
I think I can play the thing over it.
Certified fresh and spoiler free.
This is my second viewing of the film.
Okay.
I originally saw it in theaters back when it came out.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, this is a stupid idea. Why on earth would you go backwards? There's so many things you could do with Sully and Mike and Boo in the future. Why would you go back in time and do a prequel? And at the time, I was very against prequels. Let's face it, Star Wars had put a bad taste in my mouth.
Fair.
And Star Trek kind of had also. So
you were all prequeled out?
Yeah. This one actually, I thought the movie was actually pretty good. There's only one little continuity hiccup, which we'll get to.
Yeah.
But I thought this was a very, very good story. So yeah, I enjoyed Monsters University, and definitely kids can watch it. So
Yes.
What's your thoughts?
My thoughts there. This is the first time I ever watched this film, so I get to put it on a list. Yay! I was going in with low expectations because they're gonna be like, I didn't know anything about this film. All I knew they were in college, and I didn't know the dynamic of how they actually met or anything. So with that said, I found this movie really, really enjoyable. It was a pleasure to watch. It was very. There are some things in here. It's like, okay, would they do that actually in Monsters University, or they just made that for the film? But overall, I really enjoyed it.
Well, it's important to note that this is meant to be a send up to college films, like what is the name of that film that has John Belushi in it? The name is escaping me.
Yes, I had another film that my dad let me watch when I was a kid, and I was like, "Why did you let me watch this film?"
Animal House.
Animal House, yeah,
the one I'm thinking of.
Movie I've never seen before.
I didn't finish Animal House. I got about part of the way through. I was like, this movie is so stupid. So, and I admit, I have not watched a lot of college movies, and I know that's what this is primarily a send up to.
Yes.
I will. So I don't know how well it stands up that in that way, but I did think this was done fairly well.
Yeah, agreed.
So you ready to jump into the full?
Yeah, let's
spoiler filled section.
Yeah.
The following is a spoiler filled review for the film Monsters University. Listener discretion is advised. Monsters University was written and directed by Dan Scanlon, who also wrote and directed Onward, which explained a lot to me.
Yeah, agreed.
It was also written by Daniel Gerson and Robert L. Baird. Getting into the cast for this, we have Billy Crystal as Mike Wazowski, and he played Miracle Max in The Princess Bride.
Which we will talk about later.
We will?
Yes.
Okay.
Did you not catch that reference?
Oh, there was references.
Yeah.
Lots of references.
Oh, yeah.
No, literally, you said, "Oh, we'll talk about that later." Going, no, we're doing Young Frankenstein next week, not Princess Bride.
In this episode.
Okay,
Come on, get with the program.
Anyway, John Goodman plays Sully, John P. Sullivan,
Mm-hmm.
and in the movie Kong Skull Island, and I believe in the upcoming television show
Mhm.
Monarch: Legacy of Monsters,
Yeah.
he plays Bill Randa,
Yeah.
the guy who forced everyone to go to Skull Island
Islands.
and then died a very painful, horrible death.
My gosh.
Steve Buscemi played Randall Boggs, or Randy as he's known in this film.
Ah,
And of course, he was Wayne in Hotel Transylvania.
right.
And I didn't know he was going to be in this film until I went to see it the first time.
Really?
I never saw him in the trailer, so he goes that gets that part there where Mike is meeting his roommate. I go,
Mhm.
oh, that's Randall.
Mhm.
Crap, this is going to be a long relationship they're going to have to deal with.
Uh-huh.
And I like I said, I didn't know he was going to be in this.
Yeah, same.
Helen Mirren was the voice of Dean Hardscrabble.
Oh, okay.
She's been in a lot of things, but the first thing that jumped out to me was she was Victoria in Red,
Oh, okay.
which Red stands for Retired, Extremely Dangerous. Is one of my favorite films.
Okay. Fair.
Peter Son was the voice of Squishy.
Who?
Squishy.
Who voiced them?
Peter Son.
Peter Son. Where's the name sound familiar?
Well, he is the voice of Socks in Lightyear. You know, the robot.
oh, yeah, the robot cat. Probably the best part of that film.
Probably the only good part of that film. Joel Murray played Don. And he played Pete Kavanaugh in Dharma and Greg.
Okay.
Sean Hayes was the voice of Terry with an I.
Mm-hmm.
And he was Pete the Guard in Rapunzel's Tangled Adventure.
Gotcha.
David Foley was Terry with a Y. And he played Flick in A Bug's Life.
Okay. A film I haven't seen yet.
Charlie Day was the voice of Art. And he was Benny in the Lego Movie.
Okay.
You know, the one that liked the spaceships. Alfred Molina was the voice of Professor Knight.
That's right.
And he was Doc Ock in Spider-Man 2, among many other things.
And Spider-Man No
Way
Way, Home?
Home.
Yeah.
And he was also
Indiana Jones.
And like lots of other things.
Yeah, he's a very famous, prolific
Oh,
actor.
yes. Tyler Labine was the voice of the Greek Council Vice President. He played Tucker in he played Dale in Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Oh my gosh, I watched that in college. Oh my gosh, that's such a good movie.
Nathan Fillion was the voice of Johnny, the leader of Omega Roar.
Oh, now I hear it. Okay.
Yeah. And of course, he was Captain Malcolm Reynolds in Firefly.
Mm-hmm.
Aubrey Plaza was the voice of the Greek Council president. And she plays Julie Powers in Scott Pilgrim, in the upcoming show, Scott Pilgrim Takes Off.
Okay.
And of course, the film Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Bobby Moynihan played Chet, the Johnny's friend.
Okay.
His sidekick. That's what I'm looking for.
I got
his sidekick.
Yeah.
And he played a character named Carlton Dennis in Star Trek Lower Decks.
Okay.
Julia Sweeney played Mrs. Squibbles, the Squishy's mom.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I gotcha.
And she played a character named Julia in Work in Progress.
Okay.
Bonnie Hunt played Mrs. Graves, and she was Rosie in A Bug's Life. John Krasinski played Frank, and he was Jim in The Office.
Okay. A show I've never seen before.
Yeah, but you know John Krasinski.
Yeah, I know John Krasinski. Yeah, it'd be like he played Mr. Fantastic in
Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Yes. Thank you.
Bill Hader was the referee and the slug.
Poor slug.
And he played Fear in Inside Out.
Okay.
Beth Bears played all the members of whatever P and K stands for.
Oh, okay.
That fraternity, that sorority.
Yeah.
Yes, them. Literally called P and K Carry. is how she's credited.
Oh my gosh.
And she plays Caroline Channing in Two Broke Girls.
Oh, okay.
Bob Peterson reprised his role as Roz, even though we only saw her as one of the CDC number one.
Yeah, she was
But it's obviously Roz.
Yeah, and she was in a hazmat suit.
Yes. And he played Doug in Up.
Doug the dog.
Doug the dog.
Oh, okay. Squirrel.
And of course, because this is before Pixar was stupid and canned John Ratzenberger, he plays the Yeti in this.
He does?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
he
cameo.
does. That's right.
The same role he had in Monsters Incorporated.
Yeah.
It even says, you better be careful with the mail. That's a federal offense. And if you break that rule, you get sent to the, you get exiled to the human world.
Yeah, that's right.
So I wonder what he did. Anyway, he's Cliff Clavin in Cheers.
Yes.
Kingdom Hearts connections.
Huh.
Take a guess as to the number.
I'll take maybe 6.
More.
8.
More.
9.
More.
11.
Less.
10.
Yes.
Okay, good.
It was 10. We have Tara Strong as additional voices in this.
Okay. Of course,
and she played the Final Fantasy X Riku in Kingdom Hearts. I have to say that because there's 2 different Rikus and they're spelled differently. So it's the one that's originally came from Final Fantasy X.
It's Kingdom Hearts. What do you expect?
More on that when I finally get around to Kingdom Hearts 2 on Untangling Kingdom Hearts.
Selfish play,
Hey, it's part of the Cellcast network.
I guess it's called that.
I guess.
I guess so. Yeah, plug your own show. Why not?
Jess Harnell, aka Wacko Warner.
Oh,
played additional voices in this.
Yes.
And he was Dr. Finkelstein and Locke in Kingdom Hearts. Bill Farmer was additional voices in this. And he's Goofy, Pluto, and Horace Horsecollar in Kingdom Hearts.
Huh.
Keith Ferguson was additional voices in this. And he plays Marluxia in Kingdom Hearts.
Okay.
Greg Berger was additional voices in this. I hope you're seeing the trend here.
Yes, I'm seeing the trends.
And he played Eeyore in Kingdom Hearts.
Oh, bother.
Matt Mercer.
Matt Mercer?
The DM of Critical Role.
Yeah.
And famously played Maximus the Elephant and Leo the Lion.
Oh, my. Oh, we don't talk about Leo.
He was additional voices in this.
Yes.
And he played Ira in Kingdom Hearts. Plus, he was Chrom and Yusuke Kitagawa in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
Okay.
Because, yes, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is a Kingdom Hearts game.
It's interconnection.
John Ratzenberger, the Yeti in this, played Ham in Kingdom Hearts.
He played Ham.
The pig.
Of course.
The piggy bank.
Because he played the piggy
in
bank.
the Toy Story world.
Of course.
Patrick Seitz. Additional voices here. Additional voices in Kingdom Hearts. Here's a fun one. Carlos Alazraqui. He was additional voices in this. However, in Kingdom Hearts, he's actually the voice of Mike Wazowski.
Really?
Yes. Because they couldn't get Billy Crystal, apparently.
Oh, too funny.
Last but not least, Paul Eating is additional voices in this. And in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, he plays Colonel Roy Campbell from Metal Gear Solid.
Ah, okay. Cool.
And that brings me to the end of the cast list. What do we got in info and stuff?
All right. So info and stuff. IMDb has a 7.2 out of 10. It's available to watch on Disney Plus. Production was through Walt Disney Pictures and Pixar Animation Studios. Distribution by obviously Walt Disney Studios Motion Pictures. Release date was first released on June 5th, 2013. Where do you think it was first viewed, Drew?
I think it was first viewed in a test theater at Pixar Animation Studios in Emeryville, California.
Wrong.
Am I?
Yes.
Am I really?
You are.
It may not be the answer to your question, but am I wrong? Really?
Like pedantics.
I have no idea. I'm gonna guess.
Public viewing.
Public viewing. I'm going to guess.
Okay.
Well, that theater that they own in California that's right next to the old Masonic Lodge that no longer belongs to the Masons. Am I right?
What is the?
I don't remember the name of that stupid theater because it's not the Chinese.
It was at the BFI South Bank, or also known as the National Film Theater.
Not the one I'm thinking of.
No,
I did get it
exactly.
wrong.
You
I
failed.
don't remember the name of that. I'm going to have to
You-
look it up.
You failed me for the last time.
Oh,
All right, so
man.
yes, it aired. It first showed at at a music festival or theater, and then it June 21st of that same year throughout the United States, going into the box office. It had estimated budget of $200 million. Yeesh, that's a big budget for a movie. It's opening United States and Canada.
El Capitan was the one I was thinking of.
El Capitan.
But
Okay.
It's not the El Capitan.
Ah.
El Capitan was the one I was thinking of, but that wasn't the answer to your question. That's what I'm
Yes.
trying to say.
All right. So opening weekend for the United States and Canada was $82.4 million on June 22nd of that year. Its U.S. gross in Canada, gross in the United States and Canada was $268.4 million, and its world gross was $743.5 million. All right. Home release. Monsters University was released on Walt Disney Home Video Entertainment on Blu-ray, 3D Blu-ray, DVD, digital copy, and on demand on October 29th, 2013. It was accompanied by the Blue Umbrella, Pixar's short film, which played alongside the film in theaters. Its home video sales earned a revenue of $111 million with 5.5 million copies sold, making it the fourth best-selling title of 2013. Monsters University was released for the first time on 4K Blu-ray on March 3rd, 2020. So that is all I have for info and stuff. There's no sequels. I know there is a show now, Monsters. What's that show called?
Monsters at Work.
Monsters at Work on Disney Plus.
And it is a sequel. It does take place after the events of Monsters Incorporated.
Okay.
Because the main character is a guy who was going to be a super good scarer until everything changed. And now he has to work in like the bowels of the entire plant.
Yeah, that's
because they have no need for his kind anymore.
I hear an avenge coming.
I'd never finished the show, so
yeah, I've never watched it yet, but if you watched it, let us know.
Getting into the summary. As a young child, Mike Wazowski visits the Monsters Incorporated factory on a class field trip to learn about how scares harness human children's screams for energy to power the monster world. He secretly follows a scare through a door to the human world to watch him work. Initially upset, the scare compliments Mike, prompting Mike to want to be a scarer himself. 12 years later, Mike enrolls in the scaring program at Monsters University and is assigned Randall Boggs as a roommate. He also encounters James P. Sully Sullivan, the son of a famous scarer. On the first day of classes, Dean Abigail Hardscrabble, the president of Monsters University, warns that students who fail the first semester's final exam will permanently leave the scaring program. Over the next few months, Mike works and studies hard to improve himself, while Sully teases him and slacks off, relying on his Sullivan name and natural talent. Sully and Randy also try to get into the top fraternity on campus. Roar, Omega, roar. An intense rivalry begins to form between Mike and Sully. On the day of the exam, Sully and Mike's rivalry gets out of control as they attempt to outdo each other. They inadvertently destroy Hardscrabble's prize screen canister. She personally tests and fails them both. Sully for lack of technical knowledge and Mike for not being physically scary. Determined to prove his worth, Mike enters the annual scare games with the misfit Uzma Kappa fraternity as his team and makes a deal with Hardscrabble. If OK, which is what Uzma Kappa is short for, wins, they and Mike will return to the scare program. But if they lose, Mike will be expelled. As OK needs one more member to be an official team, Mike asks Randy for help, but he has joined Roar Omega Roar. Sully volunteers and Mike reluctantly accepts. Initially, due to Mike and Sully's conflicting personalities, Uzma Kappa struggles in the games. They only pass the first round due to another team's disqualification for cheating, and the second due to exploiting a loophole in the rules. The Roar Omega Roar invite Uzma Kappa to a party, then stage an embarrassing picture of them and post it all over campus. The team becomes discouraged, so Mike takes them to Monsters Incorporated, where they sneak in and watch the scares using their differences as advantages. After being chased off by the guards, the rejuvenated team begins to work together under Mike's coaching and passes the next two challenges. In the final challenges, members of Uzma Kappa and Roar Omega Roar face off in the scare simulator, each trying to frighten a dummy child. Uzma Kappa wins after Mike racks up a lot of points with his scare, but Mike later discovers Sully tampered with the simulator settings. The Uzma Kappas abandon Sully and their trophy in shame. Determined to prove he really can scare, Mike sneaks through a door to the human world into a summer camp cabin full of children. However, he is shocked to discover none of them are frightened of him. Sully, having admitted to Hardscrabble that he cheated, breaks in to rescue Mike, to whom he apologizes and confesses that he cheated because he was worried about disgracing the Sullivan name and letting the team down. The two avoid several park rangers and try to re-enter the monster world, but find that Hardscrabble has deactivated the door to keep the other monsters safe. Working together, the duo manages to scare the rangers, creating enough energy to power the door from the other side, and like every scare canister that was in that room, and destroying the school's door lab in the process. Sully and Mike are expelled from the university for their actions, but the other members of Uzma Kappa are allowed back into the scaring program. As Mike and Sully leave, Hardscrabble admits they surprised her and expresses her hope that they can continue to do so. The two go to work for Monsters Incorporated in the mailroom, and over the years work their way up through the ranks until Sully at last becomes a scare, and Mike as his coach / scare assistant. Getting into the trivia for this. As the students enter the School of Scaring building, they all touch the front paw of the statue in front of the building. This is a reference to a tradition at Harvard University where students touch the left foot of the statue of John Harvard for good luck. As a result, the foot of the statue at Harvard is shiny and polished down. The animators included that onto the statue in this movie as well. There is a line in Monsters Incorporated where Mike says that Sully has been jealous of his looks since the 4th grade. Since this movie was going to show Mike and Sully meeting in college, it obviously contradicts that line.
Yes.
Director Dan Scanlon admitted that there was some conflict behind that, and even had one treatment showing Sully and Mike meeting in the 4th grade, then skipping ahead to their university years. Pete Docter, the director of Monsters Incorporated, and John Lasseter personally told Scanlon that they love that he was honoring that one line said in the movie, but he had to do what was best for the story. As a result, the line was put aside, and Sully and Mike would be shown meeting in university. As a joke, Scanlon said that Mike's line in the first movie is a old monster expression. I think there was an easier way they could have done it. And it would have been very apropos.
Got it.
Just have Sully be in Mike's class at the field trip at the beginning. That's all you really have to do.
All you gotta do is just
have them be in there and have them even kind of fighting a little with each other.
Yeah.
That shows the deep-seated jealousy that Sully has at the beginning of this.
True.
Not jealousy, but the rivalry. Despite being offered the role of Dean Hardscrabble outright, Dame Helen Mirren requested that she audition for the role anyway to ensure that the filmmakers were satisfied with her performance. When waking up after sleeping on Sully's hand, Mike is heard saying, "I know you're a princess, and I'm just a stable boy." The line refers to one of Billy Crystal's previous screen credits as Miracle Max in The Princess Bride, a story focusing on the love between a princess and a stable boy. When James P. Sully Sullivan enters Mike Wazowski and Randall's room with Fear Tex Pig, a motivational poster can be seen above Randall's bed, which reads, "The winds of change. Shh, can you hear them?" Randall says the same line to Mike in the locker room during Monsters Incorporated. When Sully and Mike are in the human summer camp, the child who comes out of the bathroom before Mike is about to leave roars at him. This roar is a sound recording used from Monsters Incorporated for the character Boo.
Oh.
Which means I did actually leave out one Kingdom Hearts connection.
Really?
And that is whoever the voice actress for Boo was, because they reused her audio in that too.
You did.
At the end, you see the careers of Mike and Sully in Mike's locker, from starting in the mailroom to becoming scares. For a split second, there is a picture of his mom and dad.
True.
During the final exam, before Mike and Sully are kicked out of the scaring program, Dean Hardscrabble tells Sully that a roar to someone who's afraid of snakes would not make them scream, but have them run off crying to their parents. This was proven in Monsters Incorporated, where this happened to Boo after Sully was roaring by the scare simulator and her unknowingly watching close by. That brings me to the end of the trivia. So, what's your first like for this film?
Oh my gosh, you mentioned it. Oh my gosh. I cheered and laughed my head off when I heard this reference when Mike and Sully are sleeping and he starts it's like, oh, I know you're a princess, but I know also that like I'm just a poor stable boy. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's a Princess Bride reference. And I lost my freaking wig.
Although
if I wore a wig, tail, I mean.
By all technical accounts, she wasn't a princess when he was a stable boy.
That technically, oh yeah, because she married.
So she never actually married. They just gave her a title.
They just gave her a
so
title.
She could marry the prince.
That is true.
I read the book, and it's funny how they go about that, and how they explain where the what she's a princess of is actually a back alley behind the castle. Basically.
Oh, okay. But oh my gosh, I was like, okay, yeah, Billy Crystal came back for his role as Mike Wazowski, and Mike
Wazowski.
But oh my word, like when that line hit, when Billy Crystal said that, I was like, oh my gosh, I literally had to pause the movie and just gather myself, because I was just losing. I was like, I want to watch Princess Bride right now because I just had that reference.
It is such a good film.
It is such a good film. We're going to do that at some point with
Cellcast Plus.
Yeah, Cellcast Plus. But I was, for that one scene, for there again, I watched Princess Bride while I was in college. And I think most of us watched it in college because most of us never heard of it before that.
Well, I mean, I did not watch it until college.
Yeah.
My mom was convinced I had seen it.
Oh, okay.
Before that point.
I got you.
And she actually had the book that it's based on, like, from when she was in high school. So,
okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, that reference alone by Billy Crystal was hilarious. I had to stop the film, compose myself to continue watching the film because I was that excited about a reference to a movie from the 80s. So yes, the Princess Bride reference, I lost it. That is my first like in this film. Oh my gosh. What's yours?
So my first like in this film is the fact that it kind of shows an inconvenient truth and actually doesn't shirk away from it.
Okay.
Me and you,
okay,
we grew up in a time when everything on television and everything we were hearing from like the world was live your dreams, chase your dreams. If you believe it, you can achieve it.
Yeah. And
the sad fact of the matter is that's a big nope.
Yeah,
you might. I'm not going to say you're not going to.
There might be a possibility.
There is a chance, but there's also a good chance that you don't actually have the skills to pay those bills, no matter how much you want it.
Yeah.
And I actually am amazed and very impressed that this film from Disney of all people, well, Pixar, but still it's Disney.
Yes.
Actually had the guts to say, you can have all of the passion and the
Mhm.
exuberance and everything for something doesn't mean you're qualified.
That is true.
And that's the hard lesson Mike here has to learn, because all he wants to be is a scarer.
Oh yeah.
He's studied it more than anybody else.
Oh yeah.
He knows things nobody else has talks about. This man is responsible for the largest scare on campus. And I don't mean the fake one at the games.
Yeah.
This man, because what this monster was able to do, not only were they able to power a door from the other side, but they also filled every screen canister that was not connected to the thing and caused them all to explode because of how much screaming that caused to happen. Now, yes, he had to work with Sully to pull that off.
Yeah, Sully was definitely the one.
Sully was the one who did the scaring because he was the one capable. But he couldn't have done it had Mike not planned everything.
Oh, agreed.
Because that's where Mike really is talented. In the scaring program is being able to plan out a thing, to train, to coach. That's the thing we see in this. He does a great job of coaching all of Uzma Kappa to become the best monsters they can be, the best scarers they can be. And bless his heart, he wants to be. Oh, we can even see it in Monsters Incorporated, how he wants to be like the big star on everything, and doesn't let the fact that his picture, his and Sully's picture on the magazine is covered up by the barcode. Which I love the fact that when you go to Disney Plus and see the little screen for Monsters Incorporated, that Mike Wazowski's was blocked by the next video preview. Because I saw that at the end of this film, because I watched this on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
But they show Sully even goes, you can't kick him out. He's the heart of the team. It says, but he's not scary.
Yeah.
You can't graduate in this degree if you're not scary. And Mike is not scary.
Agreed.
That's why he does so good at the end of Monsters Incorporated after they find out laughs are more powerful than screams. And he's able to actually do a good job as a comedian monster instead of a scare, which Sully wouldn't have been able to do.
No.
So, yeah, I love how it doesn't say don't follow your dreams, because all of Uzma Kappa got back into the scaring program.
Yeah.
Whether they graduated or not is another matter entirely.
Exactly.
So they at least got to get their dreams back. But no matter what, Mike was never going to be able to complete his dream.
Yeah.
To see his dream in fulfillment. And he had to shift it to something that was a little more attainable.
Yes.
And I appreciated that they were just very sincere. And it's like, yeah, we know every other movie we're going to tell you to chase your dreams and all that stuff. But this one's like, yeah, you may not actually be able to attain it.
Yeah.
And you may have to shift gears.
Yeah.
Which is what you learn at college.
You do.
A lot of times.
And you also learn that in career.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's one of the things I appreciate is the fact that this looked at that inconvenient truth. Inconvenience? That's not a word.
Inconvenience.
So what's your second like for this
My
film?
second like plays off yours is the camp scene. Is where Mike he has been told, oh, he's not scary. Oh, he can't do this. He can't do this. Believe me, I am that kind of person. It'd be like, if someone says I can't do something, I will push heaven and earth to make sure I at least try. I can attempt. I can do this. So Mike breaks into the class doors, goes into this camp in the human world, and he tries to scare these kids, and they're just all fascinated, just like, roar. Oh, he's cute. Oh, he's adorable. Can you make us laugh? That kind of thing. Because then you get Mike's he gets his downfall of be like, he realized it'd be like all his dreams, all his ambitions are crushed. And he is so defeated, so downcast as a person, as a character. And it's just that, and then you have Sully comes in trying to save his friend, and you have this interesting dynamic of be like Sully is trying to run from the sheriff department, finds Mike all down by the river. I keep thinking when we see some scene
like living in a van down by the river. Saturday Night Live, John Candy. Moving on.
Yes. But like you have this great scene where these two characters are just be like, oh, I've wasted my life in a way, and then you have this be like this beautiful moment between these two characters. They're in where the entire scene is cast in like a bluish gray.
Mhm.
Like everything's cast in a bluish gray. You're in the real world. You're at night, and both these characters realize be like they're not who they think they are. They are like Sully has been riding on the coattails of his family, his family legacy, and who his family is, and he thinks he's the best thing ever, and he realizes he is not.
Yeah.
And then you have Mike, who has believed all this time, I'm going to be the greatest scarer ever, and like you said, be like the idea, be like chase your dreams, and he does that, and he comes to the stark realization that he is not a scarer. He realized that his dream has been dashed because he's finally encountered humans and he's going to scare them. And all he is a joke to them.
Yes.
He is something funny to them, in which that plays into later in Monsters. What's the other film? Incorporated. Thank you. In Monster Incorporated. But then it's just more be like you had this very heart to heart moment with these two characters. And then Mike starts to learn. It's like, hey, what if we do this? What if we do this? He starts playing into more his strategy and how he, builds a plan and stuff. Because you see that throughout the entire film, like Drew said earlier. But I just love that moment where Mike goes through the door and he's planning he's going to scare this kid, and like this kid just looks at him and laughs and looks at it like he is so defeated, so downcast. And it's just like, it takes that little spark of brilliance it's like, we have to find some way to get back home. And like all the stuff that happens. And like, yeah, I enjoy that moment where it's Mike and Sully are sitting by the river and they're, kind of opening up to, it's like, hey, be like my dreams are dashed. Hey, I've been living on the coattails of my family. And I thought that was a really, really wonderful heart character with these two characters. And they grow from that. So yeah, the camp scene.
So my second like for this film is the lighting.
Oh, okay.
This is the first time that Pixar has used ray tracing.
Yes.
For its lighting system. Before this point, all the lighting in Pixar films were all baked into the textures. So I mean, they would literally have to get everything animated, send it off to the lighting team, and then the lighting team would have to change the textures to put the light so that the lighting would go where it's supposed to be and everything would be bright and brilliant. In this movie, though, they literally, and this is one of those things that's, I'm going to describe it, and it's going to sound really stupid, but they literally set something as a light source and have the computer trace all the rays of light through everything, so that it actually lights the scene naturally. And they use it. Get granted, they are showing off in this film.
Oh yeah.
The one the one that comes to mind is the scenes there in the School of Scaring, like main room there, where there's this light shining in on the center of the room from outside, and everything else is in shadow. And you see the first time we get to see Dean, I'm gonna call her Scrabapple. That is not her name.
Scrabapple.
I mean, it's something like that.
Yeah.
But Dean Hardscrabble.
Hardscrabble. That's it. You were close.
We see Dean Hardscrabble fly in.
Oh yeah.
Good night. I do love her design.
Oh yeah.
The dragon centipede. That's a cool design. It's not on my likes list, but I'm going to throw that out here as a bonus.
Gotcha.
But you get that thing where she flies in and you can see like the shadows move naturally. They didn't have to animate that separately. The lighting system took care of shadows. The way the lighting would bounce off the walls and hit like Mike's eye, where you could actually kind of see a little bit of a reflection, but not really. The lighting on like the canisters, where it shows how full the canisters are.
Yeah.
The scene in the sewer with the pink sea urchin things.
Oh yeah.
And they turn all the lights off, and they do that pink pulse glowing thing. You're going, and that's not something they could do before this film.
No.
Before they went to this, where it would look right. It would be a lot of hard work for them to pull something like that off, and it works so well here. It's like it allows them to add atmosphere in a way they couldn't before, and that's one of the things I love about this. And it's one of the things I am that Pixar has used this since then, like a lot of time on nearly every film.
Yeah.
DreamWorks has been doing a lot of this too. You can definitely see it in like How to Train Your Dragon 3 and Kung Fu Panda 3. It's in that one. I think it's in Kung Fu Panda 2 also. But Disney, of course, uses it. And you can tell the difference when they used it, when they don't. It's if I remember correctly, this is after Tangled and Frozen is when this film came out.
Yeah.
And Tangled and Frozen used baked in lighting. But then when you get to like Frozen 2 and they're using the ray tracing, because they were Disney at that point was pretty much using the same software Pixar was, and or same tools, and you can just tell the difference in just the feel of the lighting there, and you can feel. And I love that it's here too, and I love this style of lighting because it's the best thing that's happened to 3D animation probably since Toy Story 1, in my opinion. What's your third like?
My third like would be pronounce this correctly. I've got in front of me
Oozma
Kappa. Thank you.
Oozma Kappa, because it's like
Oozma Kappa.
That's the pun.
Yeah, Oozma Kappa. I enjoy you get this. We both been to college. We graduated college in some capacity. So you have this
I was never in a fraternity, so I don't know that particular.
But you saw it all over the place. You saw it all over the place. But you have that the college mentality, the college that everything is about, being in clubs and being this and this and this. Where some of us was more like, hey, let's just get through our classes, right?
I would just like to pass my classes and get a real job, please.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I would like.
Yes, but Oozma Kappa, I found it very fascinating that they would take basically the loser club that no one respects whatsoever, because it's a bunch of guys who just want to be a part of something and they can't they can't get into any club organizations. They make their one. Am I right?
Pretty much.
Yeah. So, and then here comes Mike Wazowski and I love the setup where Oozma Kappa is used this band of misfits that no one likes, no one wants to be around, is the team that comes together.
It's basically Animal House.
Yeah,
that's kind of what that is. I think that's what that's referencing, is
probably
the house, the fraternity house of misfits.
Oh, okay.
So.
Got it. But I enjoy the house of like you said, the house of misfits, who are they're the rejects of their peers, and they wind up being the winners of everything, even though Mike Wazowski and Sully kind of ruin their own chances. But then you have these guys who are just so fortunate to have two great leaders that lead them to victory in the Scare Olympics. What do they call it?
The Scare Games.
And the Scare Games. And you find where these poor unfortunate souls have become more than they thought they ever could be. And like you said, we don't know if these guys ever graduated from the Scare Academy. We don't know this. They're probably an extended lore, and so they all graduated, whatever. But I enjoy the camaraderie these guys have, the guys who were rejected by everybody else, and by the end of the movie they're all accepted by everyone else because you won the Scare Games and you impressed everybody. And I love that kind of the underdog who is looked down upon. It's just
Mhm.
like, oh, you'll never be nothing, and they want it being something. And I thought that was very, very clever from a story standpoint. So yeah,
Mhm.
Uzma Kappa.
My third like for this film, and I admittedly am focusing on like the technical aspects
Yeah.
of this one. I love how they were able to redesign Sully and Mike and Randall, our three main heroes
Yeah.
that are in the original movie.
Mhm.
They redesigned them where it made sense how they were younger versions. Because Sully in Monsters Incorporated, he's got a bit of a gut,
Yeah, he does.
and here he's actually very fit.
Yeah.
Mike is cuter,
Mhm.
for lack of a better term, in
Yeah.
this one, and then you've got the idea of Randall with glasses.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
and he's just like this bright, cheery person, and it's like, and you know when you first see him, it's like, I know what you turn into. What's going to turn you into that sleazeball? It's just Mike saying, "Oh, by the way, if you want to be scary, take your glasses off."
Yeah.
And that's why he squints all the time, because he can't see. Randall Boggs, go get contacts. You can afford them.
Being the top scarer.
Yes, I'm just throwing that out there.
Yes.
But I love how, because we get to see Mike and Mike specifically
Mhm.
in three different versions of his life: as a child,
Mhm.
as an adult, as a college student, and as an adult in this film. And yes, it's all based on the same design, but it works together all the way through.
Agreed.
And I appreciate, I love the work they did with the model designs here. And I like how in the end, when you see, them getting into Monsters Incorporated, and Sully is shaking the hand of the villain of the original film, the head of Monsters Incorporated, and he's got the afro and the beard.
Oh yeah.
And then well, you do get to see Mike's girlfriend. I can't think of her name, but you do get to see her, and they didn't change her model much, but she's there. And of course, the abominable snowman, and he looks just like he did. And I am convinced, you could tell me I'm wrong, and I even brought this up in the Monsters Incorporated episode, or somebody might have, but I'm convinced the reason he's working in the mailroom is because he's basically Cliff Clavin. It's got to be a reference to that.
It has to be.
Because in Cheers, Cliff was a mailman.
Yeah.
And somehow that was the entire reason he supposedly knew everything. I say in quotation marks.
Yeah, allegedly.
Allegedly knew everything. So I just love how they were able to take these older designs that were going to have been far less polygons in the days of Monsters Incorporated.
Yeah.
And then we're able to upgrade them and actually make every single version of these characters recognizable in a way but still being able to put a little bit of a nuance, a little bit of a polish on them. And honestly, I love the design of all the monsters in this film.
Agreed.
Dean Hardscrabble, like I said earlier.
Yeah, amazing design.
Johnny, look was a good design. The Uzma Kappa guys, the Squishy might be one of my favorite ones. Yeah, because he can just stand there with his eyes wide open, and it's like, oh, that is actually very creepy. And because that's how he scares Mike like that all throughout the movie. Oh yeah, which is hilarious. And then you got Dan from Sales, Carlton, I think is his name, and with his octopus arms. And then let's not and like Neko in our chat is saying, can't forget Art, the reject from Sesame Street. I'm sorry. The first thing I thought when I saw it was like, you're either a reject from the Muppet Show or from Sesame Street. Either way, that's a Jim Henson design. There's no way that's not based on Jim Henson monsters.
Yeah, you're not.
And then Terry and Terry, where where for the scare games they're counted as one person because they go by monsters, not by heads. And yet they apparently are different majors. which is sad because one of them's a dance major and the other one isn't.
Yeah.
Ah. And then all the other ones, like there's so many background, especially like the P&K monster.
Yeah.
I know that's technically all separate monsters, but it's very obviously they're working on a hive mind.
Yeah.
And they're all pretty much the same person.
Right.
So, and the goths and hiss.
Oh yeah.
This
is great.
Oh, it is great. I love all the monster designs in this, but the ones that really stood out to me were Mike, Sully, and Randy, or Randall, I should say.
Yeah,
because they did such a good job of every different version of those characters they showed in this. Which brings us to the end of our likes, and we need to get into dislikes.
Yeah.
What's your first dislike for this film?
My first dislike is like, okay, so they set up where Mike runs into Randall as his first roommate.
Yeah.
And they really they're not roommates that long. As far as I understand, they're not.
It's very obvious that at the very least it doesn't last a semester, because it's obvious that Randall is in Roar Omega Roar going into the second semester.
Yeah, going into
the spring semester.
Yeah. Which would be like, I love they brought this character in and they kind of explain things why he squints. And I love your explanation of that. But for someone who enjoyed Monsters Incorporated, and this character is literally like, he's introduced and you see him every once in a while in scenes, but he's not really utilized at all. But like, he's used in the final competition of the Scare games, but you really don't get to. They don't utilize him the way that
they don't utilize him really at all.
No, they don't.
For a character that's going to be very important in the further on in the story chronologically, it really does feel like he's there for fan service.
Yeah,
to be honest.
Yeah, because I think if they would have used more of like why he has such a beef with Wazowski, I think that it would have been a little more like caveat at the very end of it. It's like, because it would have made more be like, you would have been, it's like, oh, okay, that's why him and Mike don't get along.
Well, because see, that's the thing, is we have to read a lot into that relationship in this way, because if you think about it, Mike and Sully getting to be nearly breaking the Scare record in Monsters Incorporated, and beating Randall, who not only is a very scary monster in his own right, he got there the right way.
Yeah.
He went through college. He graduated. For all we know, he graduated summa cum laude.
Yeah.
Or whatever the monster's university equivalent is. And then here are the two biggest goofballs as far as he's concerned, Mike and Sully.
Yeah.
And they worked their way up from the mailroom, and now they're going to be the ones to get the Scare record when they, in his mind, didn't put the time in correctly.
Yeah.
Now, granted, they actually put more work into it than Randall did.
Yeah.
But you have to read into it to catch that.
Yeah.
The movie does nothing for you. There is no rivalry set in stone here, other than Randall didn't work with Randall joined Roar Omega Roar instead of helping Uzma Kappa.
Yeah, so I think the scene where it sets up where it's like, ooh, be like, I don't like you, Wazowski, anymore. It was what, like the first game or something like that. Be like, because they were expecting Uz Kappa to get chunked out at the very beginning, and it's just he has that one little line. It's like, ooh, Mike Wazowski, ooh, I don't like you anymore. But it's just like, you could have had it
do
where
a little more with it. I'm not saying make
dualism of these two characters.
I'm not saying make him the main antagonist, but he needs to be the guy we keep tripping over.
Yeah,
especially since he can go invisible.
Yeah. Oh, that'd been great, but they never utilize it. Yeah, it's sad because you have the guy who looked like in Monsters Incorporated was the villain, who actually isn't the villain. But if they would have set up to where he was like even more of a antagonist towards Mike and crew, would have been great, because that means we go into Monsters Incorporated and have this really nice built-in beef between these two characters, and it's not just implied. I'm not really even asking for much more. What I'm wanting is have us see Randall like spying on Uzma Kappa for
Roar Omega Roar.
Oh yeah.
Have Johnny have him out there keeping an eye on see what on earth it is they're doing.
Yeah.
That's all I want.
Yeah. Something.
Show that he's more of a thorn in Mike and Sully's side than
Exactly.
they showed here.
Mm-hmm.
Because literally from the embarrassing picture to the end, Randall's not even in the film.
Yeah. Agreed.
So yeah. So my first dislike for this film. We get, you're saying yes, we have Randall, but they don't get to do much with him.
Yeah, he's not utilized at all, or utilized very well.
I would love if they had actually honored the fourth grade line.
Yeah,
and like I said earlier, I have a perfect excuse. Just have him be at the field trip.
Yeah,
have them like kind of fight a little bit. Have him be one of the monsters keeping Mike from being able to see.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you had to do.
Yeah,
and that would have covered that line, and we would have been able to accept it and move on. But the fact is, yeah, they don't meet until they're in college.
Yeah,
and it's what 15, 20 minutes into the film when Sully finally shows up.
Yeah,
after we've had a lot of setup,
and they don't know each other,
and it hits you kind of right out of the blue. It's like,
yeah,
you want me to believe that Sully and Mike are going to be enemies prior to them having to learn to work together in this film?
Yeah,
show me they're enemies. Don't just like have him be an annoyance.
Yeah,
that's all really Sully is in this at the beginning of this film.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, I believe in their friendship at the end, but at the beginning, I'm supposed to believe that they're not really necessarily enemies, but they're not friends. They're antagonists.
Yeah,
antagonistic to each other.
Yes, and
I don't really get that. I just get, oh, he's annoying. So Sully's annoying because he doesn't have to work, and Mike's Mike finds it annoying because he has to work harder than everybody else.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of Boimler and Mariner, and more I think about it. But
you're not kidding.
But I just want like more of that. Give me a good reason why. Honestly, they should know each other before they meet in class, in my opinion, and they should just not be on good terms at that point.
Yeah.
And that actually makes that rivalry there at the first semester final.
Yeah, agree.
All that more powerful.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my first dislike, is that we don't get to see more Sully at the beginning of this, and it would have been so easy to pull it off.
Yeah, agreed. I would definitely bounce off that and make that my number two, is where we get this setup in Monsters Incorporated where they'll be like, oh yeah, we knew each other in fourth grade, but they have to nix it for this film to make the story work. And like you said, it simply could have been where Sully was part of the class, or like maybe he was like the class bully, because we're like, oh, his father was Sullivan.
Yeah.
And just make some kind of like very quick excuse and be like, oh, he's there and he's gone. But then you just be like, he just picked on Mike. And they get to college together. It's like, oh my gosh, you're here. And
they could have even thrown a line in, like when he says, you moved away in like fifth grade. And that would have like, okay, you just do that, and it's like, okay, y'all knew each other. Moving on.
Yeah,
and we're not asking for a lot here.
No, but I think it would have been. It would have made the story a little more, at least made the canon from what we understood from Monsters Incorporated fit within the dynamic of this story. But they just dismissed it, and it's like, oh, okay, they knew each other from college. And
which is a fine enough way to handle it, but there's like, you could have done other things.
But it'd be like, to look at the other side of it,
that would have also helped this movie.
Yes, but if you're looking at the other side of it, be like, if you had not watched Monsters Incorporated for a very long time, or it's for some length of period, and you watch this film, and like, oh, okay, that kind of makes sense. But then be like, you remember, it's like, oh yeah, that one line where, oh, they knew each other in fourth grade. But at the same time, it's kind of played, if memory serves correctly, where Mike is it Mike who says it? Like, oh yeah,
it's Mike.
Yeah, I think it's Mike.
You've been jealous of my looks since the fourth grade.
That's right. Because that would make more sense to be like if they were more antagonistic for each other when they were younger.
Yeah.
And that would
make it a lifelong rivalry that somehow turns into them being the best of friends.
Yeah, agreed. So yeah, I think the if they would have just added, be like, they knew each other, or he was just a bully or something like this, it would have made more sense for a guy like uh, Sully, who be like, it's just riding on the coattails of his heritage, of his father's name, and he doesn't really have to do anything because he's already a scary monster. He doesn't study, so he is just the big bully because he's got the name in the cloud.
Yeah.
So it would have made sense if he was in 4th grade. He would have picked on the small kids. But say la vie, they didn't do that.
What they went with.
They went with be like, oh, they met started in college, so you throw away the entire setup in the first one. So yeah, I agree with you.
My second dislike here, and this is a nitpick, I will admit. I would have loved it if throughout different parts of the story, you actually got to see the slug trying to run to class.
Oh, yes.
Just in the background.
Yeah.
Don't push it. Honestly, the shot of him at the beginning and the shot of him at the end is 90% of what you need. So it's there. But I'm just like, when the camera is like doing an establishing shot of a building, show him running.
Yeah.
Like doing that quick, trying to do that run. It's like, that would have been just a nice little homage.
Yeah.
The best part to do it would have been when they're at when the embarrassing picture gets revealed.
Yeah.
When they're passing all that, and he's that would have been great, just in the background, way in the distance. You just see this little yellow slug going, run, I gotta get to class.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I agree.
Just that quick little visual gag is all you need. Now, granted, I still wonder how he got to the all the way in the summer and didn't realize more than one day had passed.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my second dislike. What's your third?
My dislike, like, it kind of goes back to one of my likes, is where Mike is like, he is so determined. Like, everything that transpires in this movie is Mike, because he's trying to prove himself. And instead of be like, because he is so dedicated, be like, I have to be a scarer. I have to be a scarer. And he winds up be like breaking every rule he can in order to prove that he is a scarer.
Yeah. And
I think be like, there again, I love the scene where he hijacks the door and goes through the door when he's not supposed to. I enjoy that. But I think because my thought would have been is like, where they conclude the story, where they conclude the second act, where they finish the scare games. They finish scare games. They have this really nice high note, and maybe it's implied that Sully cheated and he rigged it for his friend. Be like, if they would have left there, it would have been great. But they're going to be like, I enjoy the third act of this film. Do not get me wrong. But I think if they would have made the final task for the monster games, made that the third act, because it seems like they be like, it's beautifully done. Do not get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I think story-wise, if they would have just kept with we're going from here to here to here, and you have all of these character build up, and if they would have just ended with, be like, this is how they got into like Monster Incorporated or something like that. Or like maybe they got a special, like, it's like, be like, they did so good at this one task. Be like, maybe they by your senior year, be like, you're going to have an internship here or something like that. Because there again, I think that would have been a really good idea. But they went in and did this really amazing scene for the third act. But I think personally, if they would have ended it at the end of the scare games and just be like, kind of wrap that up,
I think there's a way to do it.
Okay.
Where basically the same events happen.
Yeah.
But it is at the end. It does end with this at the end of the scare game.
Yes.
And here's my thought process there.
Okay.
Instead of the scare simulator being the final test.
Yeah.
It would be the second to last.
Yeah.
And yeah, okay, maybe you have 3 teams coming to go up there, and that might have been a little awkward in staging. but have the scare simulator be like the second to last one, and then the last one is they actually have to go and scare a real human being.
Yeah.
And then Mike can't.
Yeah.
He ends up losing it at the time when it would have meant the most.
Yeah.
And the dean actually still lets in everybody else, and it does require, in the process of all that, Sully to have to admit that he rigged Mike's in the simulator. Something like that.
Yeah, I agree.
And you can still have the same act and the same procedure.
Oh yeah.
Granted, you might not have been able to do it in a building full of summer camp teenager girls.
Yeah.
But
that was fun. Oh my god.
That was funny.
Was
the
fun.
minute you realize there's more than one person in this room, Mike is in deep doo-doo.
Mike, what did you do? Mike, why did you do this? But I feel like I agree with you. I think they could have made the third task, the third act, and made it where, like, hey, maybe the door malfunctioned or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then Sully has to somehow find, get in there and try to save his friend from, what's going to happen, because there again, here's a better one.
And maybe they think, since they were able to power on the door and all the canisters and all that Mike must have done a really good job, even though nobody was able to see him do it but Sully.
Yeah.
Maybe nobody knows Sully went in after him for whatever reason.
Yeah. So
and Mike has to do the honorable thing and back out himself because he knows that wasn't him.
Yeah.
He's not a scary monster, and he can't stay in the program even if he wants to.
Because then you have both characters admitting,
they both have to do the honorable thing.
Both have to do the honorable thing. So I think that would probably been a better idea.
And then they could go work in the mailroom at Monsters Incorporated.
Exactly. Or they could have had like a special invitation. It's like, hey, ever since you did such an amazing job, even though you are no longer at the school, be like, hey, here's this internship at Monster Incorporated.
Oh yeah, I could definitely see whatever the name of the head of Monsters Incorporated. I can't think. It's been a while since we watched that film.
Yes.
I don't remember the character's name, but I could see him doing that.
Yeah.
So
you guys did just a great job. Be like, hey, if you.
And another reason for Randall to be mad at them.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they have 3 years of head start.
It's like, I hate these guys.
I would have that all-time scare record if I had gotten the 3 years head start they did. Water Noose. Thank you, Neko. Water Noose is the name of the head of Monsters Incorporated.
Water Noose. Okay.
Yeah. James P. Water Noose. That's what it was.
That's right.
But
I think that would have been a great idea. Just, that's your third act, and be like, and you just kind of, because they make the first, second, third, all of the second act.
Mm-hmm.
Just build that entire thing. Be like, it's wonderfully done. But I think if they would have broke it up, made the first and second, and our characters learning to work together better, like, make that your second act, and then your third act is the final challenge.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it would have made a solid film. But there again, the way they did it is an excellent film. I think just the way structurally
it does work.
It does work. Do not get me wrong. This movie works. But I think if they would have structured it a little differently, it made it where Mike all of a sudden be like he's convinced, but like he is still unconvinced that he's not scary, and breaks into a door and jeopardizes everything because of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it would have been better if you would, like you said, the third challenge was like you actually have to scare an actual human being. And I think that would have been great. And maybe the door malfunctions and Sully sneaks his way into her to help his buddy somehow. But I think that would have been a better idea. But there again, this movie has a great story beats.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think I just personally at the third act should have been this. But so what's your third dislike?
My third dislike.
Mm-hmm.
We don't get more references to classic monsters in this like we got in Monsters Incorporated.
True.
In Monsters Incorporated, you had literally Godzilla standing next to Mike and Sully on the road.
Yes.
We don't get to hear the Godzilla roar because, well, to quote Nate from the Monster on Film Vault, Toho said no ho.
Makes sense.
and all we got was a chicken cawing, which is kind of funny, but also kind of not.
Yeah.
Also, and of course, the restaurant that they stayed at was Harryhausen's, where Mike and his girlfriend had their date, and Boo gets out. We don't get anything like that here.
No.
We are at a college for monsters. Why are you not naming each of the buildings after famous monsters?
Yes.
Like the Dracula's School of Scaring, or
something like that,
or Dr. Frankenstein's school of a scare canister tech, or whatever. Why are you not doing that? There should have been more. The first movie did such a good job of not just being a monster movie, but being an homage to monster movies. And this one's just like, oh yeah, we're not going to say anything about any other monsters besides the ones that we own the rights to.
Yeah.
We're not even going to make a reference. Just do something.
Yeah, agreed.
Put it Dracula or something.
Yeah, because Dracula's like open copyright now. Like most of
the classic monsters are.
Yeah.
Yeah, granted, Universal still holds the rights to the movies.
Yeah.
So Boris Karloff can't have his version.
Right.
Or Bela Lugosi's Dracula. You can't have his version. But you know what you can do? Have it be like Boris Lugosi's Camp for Girls that the last thing ends in.
That'd be perfect.
Or whatever the name of the Bride of Frankenstein, whatever that actress's name was. Something like that. Where it's just like fun like that.
Yeah.
And there is nothing, absolutely nothing. Granted, we don't have like a restaurant that can be named after somebody.
Yeah.
But we have school buildings. What college is not naming their buildings after people who've pumped a lot of money into it?
Yeah.
You should be naming every single one of those after a famous monster, with the implication that they paid a lot of money to this school so they can have their name on a building. Why the crap are you not doing that?
So the one that came to me is like, okay, so Mike goes into the door, he goes into this camp, and it's just it's a girl dorm or whatever. It's a bunk. And I kept thinking, and I was like, oh, come on, please do something from like Camp Crystal Lake or something like that. But
yes, Camp Crystal Lake would have been great.
Yes.
Or just Crystal Lake, but spelled Crystal differently than they did in Friday the 13th.
Yeah, exactly. Just Camp Crystal Lake.
Yes.
And it's like, that would have been perfect. It'd be like, oh, we're at Camp Crystal Lake again. Great. This is some throwaway line like that. They're like, oh my gosh, they're throwing this in here.
All you really would have to do is when the girls start waking up, you see on the wall a hockey mask.
Exactly. A hockey mask, or like, you know, a glove with, you know, metal fingers.
Yes,
something like that.
Good night. Why is there not a monster with the Freddy Krueger claws?
That is
going
true.
to this school. I'm not saying he need Freddy Krueger himself.
Just
but
like
somebody should have the claws.
Yeah. And maybe their fur has the exact same pattern. Freddy Krueger.
It's not an exact homage, but do something.
Yeah.
Why did you do nothing with your monster call out? So you could have done so much and had fun with. I know you were focused more on the college thing and it's monsters, but you could have played more into
it. Oh my gosh, yes.
So yeah, that's my third dislike, is that we got no classic monster shout outs in this at all.
Yes.
Gamera School of Watercraft.
Oh, that
the Gamera Cafeteria.
Gamera Cafeteria.
Special today on Turtle Soup.
You're welcome, Nate.
Gamera is really neat. He is filled with turtle meat. We've been eating Gamera. Okay, that brings us to the end of this. Jacob, what are you rating this film?
Oh my gosh, this is a wonderful, fantastic film. It's like, I would be like, this movie is so like catchy. The story's great. The characters are great. Like, yeah, I've got nitpicks galore on this film, but like overall, it is freaking fantastic. So yeah, I'm probably give it like a 7.5. Be like, it's an amazing film that I definitely need to go back and rewatch Monsters Incorporated to get more, because there again, we haven't watched this film in a while.
Yeah,
it's been like 2 years,
2-3 years. I think it was 2020.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, so yeah, 7.5. What about you?
I'm giving it an 8 because I actually do like this film.
Yeah.
It's a fun film. It's the music in this. I didn't talk about it, but some of the music in this is very catchy.
Yeah.
Because I do like kind of band music, believe it or not.
Okay.
And there is a lot of that in here.
Agreed.
So it's a good, fun, catchy movie. It's got a good story. I'm surprised this is only my second viewing. I mean, it's not my favorite of the Pixar films.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's gonna be up there. I do have to say the unfortunate thing is this is around the time that Pixar might have been running out of ideas since they were already resorting to sequels.
Yeah.
And this was after Brave, and Brave, as good a film as Brave is, it had some troubled times.
Agreed.
But either way,
yeah,
I'm gonna give this one an 8.
All right.
Next week, we're doing a plus review.
Yes.
Of a sequel to classic monster films.
Yes. Kind of.
And itself a parody.
Yes.
Young Frankenstein.
A movie I've never seen.
In black and white. No offense. I'm quoting the trailers for this film.
And we may or may not have special guests.
We have some guests coming, I believe.
Nice.
Last I heard. So join us next week for that. Next, we're going to play your bumpers, and then on the other side, we're going to talk about what we've been watching, some news, and maybe a little bit of X-Men.
This podcast is a proud member of Culture Box. Whether you enjoy geeky reviews, comedy, or original fiction, you can open up the Culture Box and find something excellent for your soul. Point your web browser to culturebox.media.
This week, we suggest checking out Geek Devotions. Geek Devotions is a collaboration of devoted geeks that are devoted to letting people know that they are loved. They produce weekly geek culture-infused devotionals, their podcast, Com Talk, and written articles, all designed to encourage and challenge people in the geek community, bridging the gap between their faith and their geekdoms, such as beat reading books with Riri Allegedly and Gundam with the Gundam Watch, and in bad movies, much like we just got done doing with Bad Movie Month with The Bottom Shelf. So go over there and check them out. Cellcast would also like to thank the following patrons, if I can find that list. Cellcast would also like to thank the following patrons: Ashley and Francisco Ruiz, Book of Gaming, PaulJPowers.com, and Edwin Gonzalez. If you want your name read on the show, plus uncut episodes of the Cellcast, and every once in a while art from Jacob, please donate to us on Patreon. So, Jacob, I have a question for you.
Yes.
What have you been watching?
So what have I been watching? A lot of Rebels, or as in case Star Wars Rebels. So there again, going back about a month ago, roughly, I tried watching the first episode of Ahsoka that came on Disney Plus, and I watched the entire thing. I'm like, what in the world is going on? Because there again, be like, I only
Let's face it. The real question you're asking is, where's Ezra?
Same. Yeah, I was like, okay, okay. Where's Ezra? Where's Kanan? Where's all these other characters? Like, what's going on? And it's like, okay, I've got to watch this show. And it's like, I think I'm on episode 12 right now
of Star Wars Rebels.
Star Wars Rebels episode season 1, episode 12, and it is impressively good.
Yeah,
for
not bad for a Disney XD show.
No, it's not. Be like the animation I had to get used to, because there again, you go from Star Wars The Clone Wars to Star Wars Rebels, and the animation style is slightly different.
Well, the art style for Rebels
Mhm.
is based on Ralph McQuarrie's artwork, concept art for Star Wars,
Mhm.
the original concept art.
That makes sense. That makes sense. So yeah, that's what I'm currently watching. That's probably the only thing I've been watching, besides Monsters University.
Mhm.
That's about it.
So, an anime season started up last Saturday that I watched.
Let me. Can I guess what that show was?
Go ahead.
What was it? Family X something.
The hilarious part of this guess is you could just look to the left,
Yeah,
and you'd have seen the name of it.
Spy X Family. That's
Spy
right.
Family.
Spy Family.
The X is silent.
Okay, the X is silent. Okay.
Yes, Spy Family. Yes, the X is silent. It's spelled Spy X Family. I think it's supposed to. It's an anime thing. I don't get what the X is there for, because in my mind I want to call it Spy Cross Family. But still, I love this show.
Okay, I can tell.
When this episode started out, because this is the first episode of season 2 and it's subtitled. They haven't got the English dub out yet. I'm watching this episode, and at first I'm a little bit kind of off the mark. It's like, okay, season 1 had some weaker episodes at the end of it. Are they going to be able to catch the magic of what I liked about Spy Family? About halfway through the episode, I realized I was smiling against my will, and it was never going to. It wasn't going to stop.
It's against my will. It's against my will. It's against my will.
We're the only 2 people getting this joke.
I know that.
Because I'm watching this whole thing, and the show is still incredibly clever.
Yeah,
with what it's doing, and Anya is so freaking cute. And there's a point in this where it was like, wow, Anya, you really have upped your game. You know, she's okay. I can say a little bit of it without spoiling anything.
Okay.
Anya, as you know, is a psychic.
Yeah.
At one point, she overhears somebody is going to kill her mother.
Yeah.
Because she knows her mother is Thorn Princess.
Yeah.
You know, an assassin, even though her dad, Lloyd, does not know this.
Okay.
Still, it's not come up. And this guy, Lloyd and Yor are on a date.
Okay.
Right. And the restaurant, the waiter at the restaurant recognizes Yor from when she killed his entire gang.
Okay.
the night before. And since he was scared straight, he's trying to turn over a loose leaf and have a good life until he sees Yor and goes, this is a sign from the heavens. I must I must avenge my team. And he's going to kill Yor. First he tries to poison her, and that doesn't work because she's immune. She's built up an immunity to iocane powder. That's not what it was, but I'm making jokes now.
Princess Bride jokes.
Yes. So she's built up this immunity. It actually helps her, to be honest, which was funny. But Anya is Anya convinced Scruffyhead, who's supposed to be babysitting her. I don't remember. It's Frankie. Frankie's the name of the character. He's supposed to be babysitting her, but he's a pushover, and they are tailing their parents. Of course, Lloyd knows this immediately.
Yeah.
But tailing their parents, and she hears the waiter's thoughts that he's going to kill on Yor.
Yeah.
So she sets up a trap for him in the back. Somehow Anya is able to do this, and Scruffyhead, Frankie never realizes that where she's gone. And at one point she steps out, and she's of course got this full on like spy ninja kind of suit on with a toy ray gun, right? And she has caused like this guy to trip on to slip in oil on the ground, caused him to get covered in flour, and then somehow caused a can of peanuts, of course, to explode that he picked up. Okay?
Yeah.
And then she steps out and says, at some point before all this, she heard that his girlfriend's name was Catherine. So she steps out and says, do not get near me or my family ever again. Go home and make Catherine a happy lady and just walks off. I'm like, kudos. Anya, you are the best character in this show outside of Bond. Bond didn't get to do much in this episode. That's the dog.
Oh,
So I love this show. If you're not watching Spy Family, go watch Spy Family. I am going to find a way to work it into the show. I just got to figure out at what point I feel we can do some episodes without it feeling rushed.
yeah.
But we'll at least get to an ending point.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Other than Spy Family last week, I watched, of course, Star Trek Lower Decks. I watched Loki season 2, episode 1. That was an interesting episode.
Uh-huh.
And honestly, I didn't watch much else because I got distracted by Final Fantasy 14. Surprise, surprise. Let's move on.
All righty.
So, what do we have in the news?
The Cellcast News with your host Jacob Heron.
Why, thank you, Dealet. And getting to the bit of news we have for this week. Adam Sandler brings a classroom pet lizard in his golden age in the life of Leo, not Leo the lion, but the name of Leo. The news.
So we already talked about Leo too much in this episode.
Exactly. The new CG animated family feature coming to Netflix on November 21st. Sandler's Happy Madison production, the comedy adventure, which was written by the comic icon along with, I'm probably going to butcher the name, so I apologize in advance, Robert Smigel and Paul Sando. And going into Crunchy, speaking of anime, Crunchyroll announced today that
yesterday
that Suzumi, a movie we've already done a reaction to.
Oh yes, I thought you were talking about a different story. Continue.
No.
I don't know when they talked about the Suzume thing getting re-released in theaters.
Yes, we'll return to North America theaters for a special engagement beginning on Friday, October 27th through Sony Pictures Entertainment. The critically acclaimed animated feature will return to over 200 theaters in the United States in select cities in Canada, screening in both Japanese and English subtitles and dub in English. Tickets are available at Suzumi scoremovie.com. So in in 2 weeks, my friend over here will be going out of town on that Saturday, while me and my fiance
a week from Saturday.
Probably
about the time you're hearing this.
Probably.
If you're listening on the podcast side of things.
Mm-hmm. So he will be going out of town, but me and my fiance will be going to a Fathom event to go see Back to the Future in theaters, which I'm uber excited.
No. Never would have guessed.
Nah. But so speaking of Fathom events, Toei Animation and Fathom Events revealed today, a couple of days ago, revealed that the U.S. theatrical release of Digimon Adventure 2, The Beginning, which will have a 2-day event in November on the 8th and 9th, starting at 7 p.m. local time. Fans can catch the newest storyline featuring the grown-up version Digidestin characters from season 2 in 750 theaters across the country in both in English dubs. The English dub on November 8th and Japanese with English subtitles on November 9th. And that is all I have for info and stuff.
You mean the news?
Yeah, news. That's what I meant to say. You never heard that.
So I'm guessing you did not get my text message yesterday.
Maybe.
I mean, you put a thumbs up on it.
Well, yes.
Would you like me to talk about that?
Well, maybe.
Excuse
Bless
me.
you. Hold on.
Toei Animation announces there is a new Dragon Ball series starting next year.
That's right.
Dragon Ball Daima.
Yeah. Well, correction. I'm actually looking at your
it was Facebook
text.
Messenger.
Oh, well, never mind. You said messenger. You said text.
It is technically a text messaging app. It counts.
Nuance.
When I say text, here's the thing. If I'm sending something from a computer, I send it through Messenger. If I'm sending it from my phone, I use the regular Facebook.
I gotcha.
The regular text messaging.
Okay.
Either way,
So Toei is making
a new Dragon Ball. Akira Toriyama is involved with the story.
Yeah, I thought he was just doing the character design.
No, he's involved with the story.
Oh, okay.
And this is going to take place apparently at least after Super. The way this trailer goes, if you've not watched it yet, they actually have a scene from GT.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Now, granted, it's in that part where it's like showing off the versions of Dragon Ball animes across the time. So you get a shot of Dragon Ball from the original show, a shot from Z, GT, Super. Oh no, sorry. Battle of Gods, Resurrection F, Super, Broly, Superhero. So that's where the GT was in there, but after the C, obviously.
Yeah.
And so this is, from what I could tell, it definitely takes place at least after Super, and the name Daima doesn't translate, but kind of means something along the lines of like big-headed is kind of how it is, because the art style in this is a very chibi art style.
Yeah.
Except there is a scene in that trailer where you actually see them go from like the normal Super art style to this. So it's like somebody wished for this with the Dragon Balls, and it affects everybody.
So they're doing a GT, but
It's not really GT.
Well, the be like, oh, they get wished to turn into kids.
Except it's not just Goku.
Yeah, it's Frieza. I mean, not Frieza, but
Vegeta. It's like, yeah. So it's like, oh, this looks interesting. You know what this means? I actually have to finish Super. It's not that I don't want to finish Super. It's just I got to what is literally the longest story arc in Dragon Ball history, and I'm about a quarter of the way through it. I'm up to where the actual Battle Royale started, and I'm like, I'll get back to this eventually. It's not bad. It's just, I'm curious how Goku and Frieza teaming up is going to work. I'm guessing what it's going to do to some degree is it's going to be adapting what has been going on in the Dragon Ball Super manga, but then it may not. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Dragon Ball Daima.
Okay.
Starting in fall 2024.
So Dragon Ball Chibi.
Dragon Ball Chibi Ball Z.
Chibi Ball Z.
On this episode of Chibi Ball Z,
that just sounds weird.
Goku meets up with Sailor Moon. And they run around with Inuyasha and Yu Yu Hakusho. All before they meet a kid who's going to be king of the pirates.
Oh, bother.
AKA Pirate Goku. And they go hang out with Ninja Goku and then Superhero Goku. I just think it's going to go with every single. Strangely enough, Dragon Ball Z abridged characters start showing up, and Toei has just gone nuts. That will never happen because Toei is a bunch of jerks. But
man.
Yeah,
okay.
That's what's going on there.
Yes.
So, is that all we got for the news?
Yeah, that's all we got with news.
All right, then let's go ahead and talk about the beginning of season 5 and the final stretch of X-Men, the animated series.
Previously on X-Men.
Meet a sulky, over-bulky, kinda hulky superhero. Hot to twisted and electrically transistored superhero. An exotically erotic and aquatic superhero. The Marvel superheroes have arrived.
X-Men, it's the day Spider-Man and his amazing friends, Iceman and Firestar.
This reminds me, I'm going to have to make a new intro soon.
Yes.
It's been a year since I made the last one.
Yes. That's going to be interesting, people. Let's just say that.
Oh, yes. X-Men the Animated Series Season 5, The Phalanx Covenant, Parts 1 and 2. Both episodes originally airing on September 7th, 1996. Directed by Larry Houston and Fred Miller, and written by Stephen Melching and David McDermott. McDermott. Anyway, in these episodes, the X-Men are attacked by the Phalanx, a race of techno-organic aliens seeking to assimilate all life on Earth. Also, the X-Men are attacked again by the Phalanx and go trying to find help, but Magneto at first sees this as his chance to watch humanity go down. Guest cast for this includes, Chris Britton as Mr. Sinister, Len Carlson as President Robert Kelly and the Phalanx, David Corbin as Warlock and the Phalanx, Don Franks as Sabretooth and the Phalanx, Paul Hiddle as Quicksilver, Stephen Wamette as Cameron Hodge, Mark Strange as Forge, David Hemblin as Magneto.
I am Magneto, master of magnet.
Jeremy Ratchford as Banshee, and Susan Roman as Amelia Vogt. In these episodes, we have the trivia for these episodes. This is the debut of the Phalanx and Warlock. The trucks have Joe's Calamari signs on the side, a reference to executive producer Joseph Calamari. The Phalanx states, "You will be assimilated. Resistance is futile."
We've heard that before.
A phrase frequently used by the Borg, another malevolent techno-organic race fond of assimilation from Star Trek The Next Generation.
Well, at least their leader is not now Locutus. Am I saying that right? Locutus.
But he is Patrick Stewart.
Yes.
Connections. David Hemblin returns to the role of Magneto after having briefly been replaced by George Murner in episode Family Ties. So, here's a hot take.
Okay.
Yes, the animation is cheaper, but the backgrounds are better.
Yeah, agreed.
I don't know if I don't know what the difference here is. It's like, I know the animation is like, we were on like 2s and animating on 2s in the other 4 seasons, and we are down to animating on 3s in this one. And there's a lot of times where lines just bleed together, and they're not supposed to, but they do. But the backgrounds are surprisingly, a lot better done than they were by the other company. Because we did switch animation companies for season 5. Granted, I think we've already talked about that on the couple of season 5 episodes that chronologically popped in throughout the rest of it. But we are fully on season 5 now.
Yeah.
This is interesting.
Yeah, I would say, like we discussed before, with the animation in these first 2 episodes, they're done very well.
Yes,
because it looks like the animation what you would see from season 4, season 3.
It's not quite the same frequency.
Yeah,
the models are pretty much the same models they were using. And they are. It looks like they're simplified in some places. The Cyclops almost already looked redesigned. It's still the same basic elements, but he seemed whiter in this one.
Yeah, agreed.
I don't know what that is, and of course he was more belligerent in this episode than normal.
Yeah, but also we get it,
and all his lines are all, "Mr. Sinister, I knew you were behind this."
Well, yeah. Well, first you like you get torn out of a cocoon, and all you see is the guy who's been trying to kill you for the last 3 seasons.
Yeah. Well,
No,
trying to evolve you for the last 3 seasons to make the perfect mutants, who are also obviously going to come from Scott's and Jean's line. It's like, well, at least you're letting the lovers be lovers.
So here, be like, okay, so we get a new intro. We get a new intro song.
Yeah. Well, we've had
yeah.
this intro on the other season 5 episodes, but this is obviously where it was introduced.
Yes.
The theme song is still the same song, but I mean, it's a much more rocking cover.
Yeah.
More of a 90s-ish kind of, or more of an Aerosmith-ish kind of.
A little bit.
But
it's actually using guitars rather than
piano,
synthesizers.
Well, yeah, because that's the thing about Ron Wasserman is he doesn't know how to play guitar.
Yeah.
So in all of his rock stuff, like from X-Men and his most famous one, Power Rangers, like
he used the piano.
He did the whole thing in piano. I think it was to the point where who was it that was playing with the Power Rangers orchestra as it was credited, because it was basically a super group of every major rock group that had a song on the from Power Rangers soundtrack.
Yeah.
He because they had to play a song, he went up to Ron Wasserman and says, I think I figured out how you did it. Here, let me show you. And he goes, and he plays the whole thing. And Wasserman says, cool, I did it like this. And he turns around to his piano and plays like this. It's like, oh, okay. So yeah, this is actually being played by a guitar player, which actually does work better. My issue though with this is that this is a the actual video is the visual is the problem.
Yeah.
Because this is a clip show opening. They took elements of the original opening. They took shots from other seasons. Granted, it's probably of the ones where Saban has hacked together a new opening from previous stuff. This is probably the best version they've done.
Yeah.
Because it's like feels like it's actually got action packed, unlike Power Rangers season 2. But I wish it was still an original animation. Just show the original video and play this new soundtrack over it. That's all I want.
Okay, fair enough. And so I had a huge question. So like obviously the world is being consumed by the Phalanx.
Yes.
And they're trying to find like refuge, and like, oh, we found this one place we need to go. This will be our answer. And they go to Magneto's fortress.
Well, I mean, they say, oh, I know, let's go to Antarctica. My first thought, no, we don't need to go to the Savage Lands again.
No.
We spent a whole season there.
No thanks.
No, thank you. And it's like, nope, that's where Magneto is.
Yeah.
How do the people of the Savage Lands feel? You thought about showing them? Like at one point I don't want to see it. The other part is like, oh, there's Magneto. And wow, he got old again.
You got be like, yeah, the beard looks good on you, bro.
Magneto, bless his heart. He can age and de-age depending on how the artists feel that day.
Agreed. So be like, we get in the earlier part of this, two-parter where Quicksilver pops in and he pops out, right?
Yeah.
So because obviously I think it's like he does get absorbed by the Phalanx, right?
Well, I mean, he gets put in the bubble.
He's put in a bubble because he's mutant.
Like all the other mutants.
Yeah. So the thing was like, okay, then where's the Scarlet Witch? Because I kept thinking that the entire somewhere else.
The only reason Quicksilver was there is because he came with Forge, and they come from the same unit of, was it Sword? Who they're working for?
X-Force.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. There's a lot of these paramilitary organizations in Marvel, and I get them confused.
Fair. Completely
of course, it's X-Men. I should think, oh yeah, it's gonna be X something.
Yeah. So my thought was like, oh, okay. But like, yes, I'm gonna come out of my slumber because my lovely wife has been murdered. We already know this. Why are you harping on this? Because believe me, I hear this all the time with certain customers. Now I'm not downplaying someone be like their loved one passed away. I'm harping on some people who do not know how to stop talking about certain things the entire time. We've heard you talk about this 1,000 times. Bless your heart.
Are you referring to Warlock talking about his life mate?
Kind of, and then in real life.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about in real life.
Yes.
I'm trying to connect it back into the show.
Yes. So And my funny thing was like, okay, Quicksilver's been kidnapped, and the thing that gets Magneto to get off his magnetic butt is it's like, oh, Pietro, oh, I might want to save my son.
Yeah, maybe. Where's Wanda?
Yeah, where's Wanda?
I'm sorry. Maybe this is just because I am now used to the MCU,
Right.
and Wanda is such a major character in the
Yeah.
MCU that I'm going, where's Scarlet Witch?
Yeah.
Pietro's involved. Might want to get Scarlet Witch involved on this because she could take care of this a lot faster than freaking Magneto.
No.
Scarlet Witch can tear the whole universe apart. She can turn that phalanx into spaghetti and then feed it to her nursemaid, the talking cow.
You're not kidding. You're not kidding.
And we just had an episode featuring that talking cow. Like
we did
within a couple episodes ago.
Yes.
Bova, that's her name.
Bova. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
because it involved Wanda and Pietro.
That's when they first
That's
showed
the
up.
only episode we've had with Wanda.
And they don't use her powers at all. At all.
Well, this is actually the first time we actually see Pietro actually get to run.
Yeah, he doesn't do it.
He doesn't do it before this
Well,
point.
no, he does in that one episode where it'd be like he does pick up Wanda and he does run.
Okay, two frames of running animation. Fine.
Okay, fine then.
This one we actually get to see. Okay, I'm going to go pick up the van, and he runs off. And I'm going, wow, you are not the Flash, because the Flash would have been smarter than that to go after a van that could be consumed by this techno-organic virus.
You're like, Barry, you are not.
Barry Allen, you are not. I know this is one of those instances where I have no idea who came first, though I believe it was the Flash.
Mm-hmm.
But you did not take you are not based on him as much as you think you are.
Yeah, that's true.
But anyway,
yeah. But yeah, I'd be like, I thoroughly be like, I enjoyed these two episodes. As there again, you have, oh crap, he keeps calling himself. What is his name?
Warlock.
Be like, I enjoyed the character.
It's not a name, it's a title.
It's a title.
Because apparently they don't have names.
Apparently they don't have names. But this is more of like a Hank McCoy focused story, which I enjoy because poor Hank doesn't get a whole lot of story arcs.
Well, considering all through season 1 he was in jail.
Yeah, that's true. He was in season 1. He was a jail beast.
Yeah,
he's a jail beast.
A jailed beast.
Jail beast. But
beast in a cage.
Quoting Shakespeare.
Well, he's still quoting Shakespeare among many other people.
Yes, but
I know Mr. Sinister is a strange ally, but the enemy. I think this is one of those the enemy of my enemy is my friend situations. I'm going, that's the worst quote you've come up with yet.
Come on, Hank.
You're better than this.
Come on,
give me something that sounds Shakespearean.
Oh my gosh, but yeah, it's like I enjoy it when they focus on more characters other than Storm or Wolverine or
Cyclops.
Though I love focus on Jean Grey for once.
We had 2 whole arcs with Jean Grey as a title character. Right. Well, I say that one of those is I am Professor Xavier, and I have turned evil. You want to know how you can tell? I have a cape.
No capes.
Oh, this has been a crazy show. You know that?
You're not kidding. But these are 2 very good episodes. I'm cringing at the rest of the season because we've seen clips here and there from season 5. I'm like, this is gonna be fun. This is gonna look bad. Like bad.
There's a reason it was canceled after this season.
Agreed.
So yeah. On the next 2 episodes, we're going to be looking at Stormfront parts 1 and 2. And then we're going to have at least a couple of single episodes after that, including one I am curious of because it just has a ridiculous name. Jubilee's Fairy Tale Theater.
That's going to be interesting.
I think I saw that episode of Power Rangers.
Because I keep thinking, be like, Stormfront part 1 and 2. Just please say we do not harp on, be like, Aurora
Monroe has claustrophobia from that time a wall fell on her as a child. We're not sure if she was black or white in this particular flashback, but that's what happened.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sorry, that's still the worst mistake this show has made, because literally they show the same flashback 3 episodes in a row, and the one in the middle, it's like an Oreo. The first one, she's African American. The last one, she's African American. You know what I mean?
African.
She's African. The middle one, she's South African. What's going on, Saban? But anyway, join us next week for that.
Oh my God!
Along with Young Frankenstein, a movie I've been trying to get this guy to watch for how many years? 5
at least.
years. I'm forcing you finally to watch it.
Yes,
It's against my will.
It's against my will. It's against my will.
This is when I put my foot down when we were first talking about putting in plus music. Okay, we get to Halloween. You're watching Young Frankenstein.
No.
Oh, you'll enjoy it.
I'm pretty sure
You've liked other what's his name? Mel Brooks films.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you'll love this.
I'm not surprised to be like, I will enjoy this.
It's Gene Wilder.
Yeah.
Willy Wonka pretending to be Dr. Frankenstein. That's Frankenstein.
Frankenstein.
You'll get that joke later.
Okay.
Along with certain whinnying horses, which I need to remember to put on my soundboard.
Yes.
So, because actually we'll need that again later this year too. So join us next week for that. In the meantime, this has been Drew.
This is Jacob.
And we'll catch you in the next frame.
You can follow Jacob on his Facebook at Jacob B. Heron. His Facebook page, Jacob's Daily Art Corner, where he tries to draw each and every day.
I try, but failed miserably half the time.
His Instagram at Jacob B. Heron. His Twitter at Jacob Heron. And his letterboxd at Jacob Heron. You can find Drew on Facebook at Drew Dodgen. His Facebook page, Drew's Photo Bin, to see his photography. His letterboxd page at GGeorge759. His Twitter at GGeorge759. And Instagram at Drew Dodgen. You can like us on Facebook at the Cellcast Podcast, on Twitch at the Cellcast Gaming, on YouTube at Cellcast, on Twitter at cast_cell. The Cellcast can be found at Apple Podcasts, Google Play Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, or anywhere else fine podcasts are downloaded from. Please rate and review us where you found us, and also on Podchaser. Email us at thecellcastpodcast@gmail.com. The Cellcast is a proud member of both the Pop Americana and Culture Box media networks. For more information, please see the link in the description. Our theme song is Drop and Roll by Silent Partner. And remember, that's Cell with a single L.